this, but one of our teachers, her husband owned a helicopter. So they would fill the helicopter with all that stuff, and it was over the football field. And so the whole school goes around the track, and you watch, and you get to see it. So he goes up, and they're just falling like, just the most beautiful thing, like fluttering. They're all falling so slowly, you know? and so then it's like a safe dropped out of a so fast, like so unceasingly fast, that things that were dropped like 5 minutes previous are still like, it's just gone. And it just hits, and it does what you would think. It just explodes. The whole school just screams of insanity out loud. Like, they're just like, oh! And they're like, whose was that? Whose was that? You know, and it's like, you know, who knows? You know, who's just what? So I have to wait. You know, like, we have to wait. And so I watch them, and I'm like, these are so beautiful, so well made. You know, like, and we have to then, when it's done, you run out onto the field and you find your egg and you have to show the teacher. And so I have to walk out onto this field. It's pretty easy to tell like where the egg was. So it's like, but I go, and I mean, the box has exploded. It's just pieces of plastic balloon. There's no shell, there's no yolk, like it's just vaporized, you know, like it's gone. And so I pick up these like wet duct tape pieces of cardboard, and I go to my teacher, and she's like, that was never gonna work. And that's all she said. She's like, that was never gonna work. And she goes over. And it was me and this one other kid, and his was made well enough it just broke, you know, it's just bad luck. But like mine wasn't. And I remember just standing on that field, and everyone's moving around you, and I was just like, why am I so stupid? You know, like, why can I not do stuff that everybody else can do? Like, why are these basic things? Like, how am I going to live? Like, how am I gonna, this is just high school, like, what in the world, why do I think that I am gonna, like, make it? And that night I go home, and my dad's like, how did it go? And I was like, great. You know, because what would I didn't know, like, how do you explain to your dad, you know, the person who made you, that you don't think that you can you can do it, you know? And so we didn't say anything. And when I started to become a writer, like one of the things I learned was like those stories, like these things where we have this provenance and pain is what I keep coming back to, that we're all made out of this stuff. And I was like, I think now I can tell that story in a way, because I can imagine that, and I can imagine where I can write myself towards in the future, that I can tell a story where that story is important but not the end. And I'll tell it from this vantage point of, I made it, and now this story is funny, but redemptive. And I was like, this is what writing can do for me, is that it can take those things that when I felt like the most alone in the world, and you just send that signal out, and there is somebody who says, that never happened to me, my God, like nobody else is doing that with that shoebox, but I know that feeling that you're talking about. Like I know what it means to feel that in your heart, and I receive it, and I can see you, and I can see myself, and that's the whole reason I write. So I thank you for letting me be a part of it.